ever feel like you're chasing a moving target, or like being good enough always feels like it's just out of reach? I get it. Growing up with a father who was an addict, losing a parent at a young age, and battling obsessive-compulsive disorder throughout my life has taught me much about shame, guilt, and always trying to be good enough. But what if being good enough is a myth? What if your worth is not something to chase or try to measure up to? This is the Enough Effect podcast, a space to rewrite the narrative, share stories, and discover the power of being you exactly as you are. Hello, my name is Abby Tavilos, and welcome back to the Enough Effect podcast, and welcome to episode number 12. Thank you for being here. I get in my head a lot about if the work I'm doing is good enough, or if it's resonating with people, or if I'm ever gonna reach the people I want to reach with this. And I know that that's just part of the journey, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who's reached out and told me that the podcast has been helpful, or who listens every week or listens once. Like, I just wanted to say thank you, because it does keep me going when I get in my head and worry about things. So thank you. And that being said, today I want to talk about finding yourself, because I think OCD and mental illness makes it hard to know who you really are. I have 4 different OCD themes I struggle with, but the one that is the meanest and takes up the most of my time is definitely scrupulosity or religious OCD, also called moral OCD. So because of that, obviously, religion and God has, been a big part of my life forever, because I had OCD about it. And I remember after my diagnosis, I was just like, I didn't know who I was anymore, because I realized so much of the things I valued about religion and my relationship with God was a mental illness, and my behaviors were largely determined by my mental illness, as were my beliefs. And it flipped my world upside down, and it's kind of still flipped upside down. And so because of that, I'm obviously on a journey to try and figure out, who am I really, what matters to me really, and how can I live an authentic life really that's not OCD's version of my life. And the reason I share that is because I know for a fact that that's not a unique experience, and it's not even unique to scrupulosity. So many different OCD themes attack a person's belief in themselves and in who they are as people. And I'm sorry, I'm like having some emotion come up. It's really hard to go through that. And it makes me sad to know that there's so many people who go through that every day. So today I just wanted to speak about how you can go about finding yourself when you have OCD, and when you have a bully in your head trying to tell you who you are when it's a lie, because that's hard and confusing to figure out. And again, I don't have all the answers. I'm not a replacement for therapy by any means. I'm just here to share what I've learned and to be an advocate and supporter. Before I jump into this, I think it's important to just address, why is it important to know who you really are? And why is doing that work an important endeavor and something that you need to do? Because it's really freaking hard, so you have to have a why. And for me, it's because knowing who I am and what I value is basically like my anchor. When OCD tries to drag me away into its stories and into the OCD cycle, I can turn to my beliefs about myself to anchor me and to pull me back in. And it is an ICBD concept. I can put more information about that into the show notes. I recently started going through it in therapy. It's just learning more about what obsessional reasoning is about and what happens to get you sucked into the OCD cycle and how you reason yourself into it. Again, I'll put the information in the show notes. All you really need to know for now is just using your beliefs about yourself is a great way to pull yourself out of obsessional reasoning, and it's your real self. And I did just want to take a moment and read off of how ICBT suggests that you learn or lean into or try and discover your real self. And so I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up. Again, if you want to read it right off the website or have more information, please do. I'm putting the link down below in the description. From what I have and what I've learned in my journey with ICBT,
These are the questions that it prompts you to try and figure out what your real self or what your values are. What are my true intentions, desires, wishes, emotions, and opinions? And for me, I took each of those components and tried to kind of write them down for different situations. Again, OCD is going to make you confused about this because you're going to doubt if they're actually your true intentions, desires, wishes, emotions, opinions. But you have to set a boundary with yourself while you do this, that you write it down and you commit to it, and so you don't get sucked into the OCD cycle of all that doubt. The next one, what do my actions say about me? This one was really hard for me. So hard for me, especially with scrupulosity and relationship OCD. I actually asked people I love to answer that for me, and that was really helpful. And lastly, what are my goals? That one I felt like was the easiest to utilize or to turn to because I know what my goals are. I don't know what my true intentions and emotions are, but I know my goals, so I found it very helpful to take those questions and ponder those and think about them myself. And then what I used that information for is I love making collages and vision boards. I used that information to make a vision board of my true self and what it means to be me, that I can turn to when my OCD starts to convince me that I'm a really bad person or whatever it's trying to convince me of, because you need that anchor. And I would just encourage everyone listening, I know this is a shorter episode, to take a moment to ponder those questions so that you can have an anchor and so that you can respect your true self. You can say, oh, actually my true intention is blah, blah, blah. And you have to set a boundary with yourself. You're gonna feel like you're faking it at first. And OCD is gonna make you doubt if it's true information, but set that boundary, ponder that question, and come home to yourself. I think that's one of the most beautiful ways for me to think about mental health recovery and OCD recovery is coming home to who you really are and who you were all along before OCD took over and started controlling you. Again, if you want more information, there's more on my social medias at abstabs, my website, abbytabelos.com, and in the show notes, also on the ICBT website, which I've linked below. And please let me know your thoughts about this. Thank you for listening to the Enough Effect podcast. If you enjoyed listening, it would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment your favorite thing from today's episode. Plus, don't forget to hit up my social media at abstabs, ABSTABBS on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook for daily inspirational content to remind you that you can live a life built upon the resounding belief that being good enough was never an endeavor worth pursuing. Lastly, check out my show notes for any resources mentioned in this episode and my website, where you can find a list of all the ways I would love to work with you. See you next week, and don't forget that you are and always have been more than